Hello, welcome back to my sewing desk. I'm here today because I bought a new sewing machine. So this is my old sewing machine and this is my new sewing machine. It is a Singer heavy duty. I got the simple version because it has all the stitches that I need and it was cheaper. Now I know what all of you are going to say. If you're getting a new sewing machine, why did you not get the Juki? And the Juki industrial sewing machine is definitely what I should be working with, especially because I do a lot of projects with upcycling towels. So thicker material, I need a more heavy duty machine. Unfortunately, I'm working on a very small budget at the moment, and I'm working with an uncertainty of what my future sewing projects look like. I wasn't quite ready to invest in an industrial sewing machine. So I talked to some other sewers and they recommended the Singer Heavy Duty. It does have an enhanced piercing power and a higher sewing speed. So I want to test it out and it's about $200. So it's an easier investment to make. So hopefully someday I can upgrade to the best of the best. But for now, I'm doing this. And the reason why I'm even getting a new sewing machine to begin with is because I have unfortunately kind of destroyed this sewing machine due to bad sewing habits. So this sewing machine I've had for about 3 years and I have properly messed it up with like the timing is off, and I've had someone come and repair it and look at it. As he was like in the sewing machine, he was like, "Oh, have you been sewing on this machine for like 8 or 10 years?" So I did a lot of wear and tear to the sewing machine. This is a Brother SE630. So it's a sewing and embroidery machine. And I think it's a very good machine. I still think it's a good machine. However, it is the machine that I had when I first started sewing thick materials, and before I started, I wasn't even knowledgeable sewer beforehand. So when I started sewing thick materials, I have now learned that I was making a lot of errors and doing a lot of things wrong, just some bad practices, which has caused some irreparable damage to my sewing machine. So what I want to do today is give some kind of tips, I guess, just tell you what I've learned about sewing properly, some tips and tricks for sewing thick fabrics without damaging your sewing machine, because I do get a lot of questions on this topic. So I'm going to set up my new machine and sew a pair of towel shorts while I go through a couple things that I have learned. And these might be common knowledge and I just didn't know them. I don't know, but I'm thinking if I didn't know them, then a lot of self-taught sewers are probably also in need of this information. So I'll just give a few things that were helpful for me to learn when sewing with thick material. I do think I'm going to miss some of the bells and whistles from my old machine, but I do think that this is a step up. So I just set up my machine and did a little bit of test sewing. If any of the sewing is a little bit choppy or rough in my videos today, it's because I'm not yet used to this machine. So my first thing is making sure that the foot is always flat, that it's always level. So I'm sewing this pocket onto a panel of shorts, and to sew the pocket on, I have to start with the foot half on the pocket and half on the shorts panel. This is a little bit harder to show than I was expecting. The lighting was a little bit intense, but as you can see, when I put the foot down, it is at an angle. The front of the foot is sloped up and the back of the foot is sloped down. This makes it really hard for the feed dogs to actually move the fabric through because there's more resistance. So I just keep this folded fabric piece on hand to put underneath the back of the foot, That way it raises up the back of the foot, keeps the foot level, and it sews easily. And then the fabric just kind of falls off as you go. My next thing is paying attention to the needle. If you can see here, I'm trying to point out that the needle looks a little bit curved. It was still sewing perfectly fine, but I was noticing that it was kind of struggling a little bit. So as I looked closer at the needle, I could tell that it was curved slightly to the left. When I first started sewing, I used to just kind of ignore this and be like, it's fine until the needle is actually broken. But no, that causes a lot of problems. Don't do that. So pay attention to your needle. If it is starting to look a little bit bent or a little bit dulled or anything, then just go switch it out really quick. Every machine has a little toggle to unscrew the needle, and it's a quick, easy replacement. And also, when I first started sewing, I didn't really think that the difference of needles mattered, because there are some needles that are designed to sew thicker fabrics or more durable fabrics. There are other needles designed to sew jersey fabrics, etc. Make sure that you are choosing the correct needle for your project, because it does indeed make a difference. And this next one is a really bad habit that I started doing when I first started sewing the thick fabrics, and that was kind of pushing or pulling the fabric through the machine. So I had to even just keep my hands far away from the needle. And I learned that if the feed dogs ever aren't pulling the fabric through on its own, you can lengthen the stitch and that should pull it through. Or if it's still stuck, then just kind of walk it through with the turn dial, or sometimes I even lift up the foot and the needle and just scoot it a tiny bit forward, and then it usually grabs hold again and is able to sew properly. Just remember to move your stitch length back down. And look at that. There's my thick pocket sewn onto a thick shorts panel. And those are actually all my tips. I didn't even have to sew the whole pair of shorts to get through all of them. But my last thing is just some machine maintenance that I was unaware of at the beginning of my sewing endeavors. And that is cleaning the machine regularly, especially when I'm working with a material so fibrous like towels. The inside gets really messy. Now, obviously today is my first day using this machine, so there is nothing in there, but I usually weekly brush out all of the debris and lint in the inside of my machine to keep it running properly. And oiling the machine. Each machine should have details on how exactly to oil it to keep it running smoothly and extend the life of your machine. So those are the 4 most important things that I have learned while sewing more. And I hope that some of you were able to find some of these things helpful, and good luck sewing all of your thick fabric and not murdering your sewing machine.